Dinta 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 tata dinta 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 tata kata kata. Ah, tergidum tak tak tergidum tak tik tak tergidum tak tum tak tum.
Let me quickly conclude with two insights, two interrelated insights from this. At the end of the day, as I told you, this Jonah story can become an interesting suspense thriller. The script writer was God and God alone, wherein God scripted, God decided that this nation needs to be really redeemed, and for which God has chosen an unbelieving prophet. And once God has scripted the story, the prophet has no other choice than to really act the role that has been given him. That's very interesting. I think the church in this world is supposed to script its mission. I normally make a distinction between offensive and defensive. Theology is offensive, we call it, not in the violent sense. Theology is offensive in the sense that we set the narrative. We set the narrative. Systematic theology was defending theology because it has to answer the questions that emerge from outside. So today, the church has to really script the narrative against the dominant powers. But unfortunately, the church and the secular forces are on the defensive. A related point is God as the greatest risk taker. God as the greatest risk taker. Church must be the greatest risk taker. Christian theologians must be the greatest risk takers. Risk taker is actually, it is not inviting danger. I would interpret it in this way. Let me conclude with a metaphor. It is thinking out of the box. It is thinking out of the box. You cannot go with the traditional thinking. This one-day international cricket. Until 1990s, the European nations, they were dominant. Particularly England, Australia, and the Western nations, they were dominating. Around 90s, in this one day cricket, first 15 match overs. Now I think the rules are changed. Now I'm not following cricket also. I'm not anymore a fan of cricket. That's a different issue. First 15 overs so the batsmen are supposed to defend. They should really somehow survive. The mindset is not to lose. Remember, the mindset is not to lose. And the mindset is to defend. The opponent will use all kinds of techniques in order to defeat. So your job is to defend. 90s, Arjuna Ranatunga of Sri Lanka, he came out with the idea. In the first 15 overs, only 4 fielders are there on the boundary line. And all others will be within the 30-yard circle. And if the batsman can hit the ball beyond that 30-yard circle, there is every chance that the ball will reach the boundary. And he trained his comrade Sanath Jayasuriya and became world champions. Once this was discovered, the opponent found it extremely difficult to really defend themselves. The scriptwriter is something totally different. Church must be the greatest risk taker in this particular context in which we live. Other community members can be seated. You can have a glimpse of it after the worship service. Get ready to announce the to come forward and pay tribute to Dr. E.C. John. Dr. Mary John is Dr. E.C. John's daughter.
Good morning. It's an extremely humbling and gratifying moment for me, so please bear with me if I get a little emotional. On behalf of our family, my brothers Balan, Jacob who is here, Elizabeth, it is indeed a great honor. I can't think of my father being more happy than to have imagined that one day this library that was a great love for him would in fact bear his name. We grew up here, and in the 1960s and 70s, I don't know if any of you would recall that time, we lived in a bungalow that was just literally where this library, just behind where this library now stands, and there was a volleyball court in front where all of you are sitting. And when my father first told us that he had this plan to build a library here, he expected that we would greet it with a lot of joy. But our first response was in fact disappointment. We said, that's our home, how can you take it down? This was the volleyball court where everybody came together and played after the service in the mornings or in the evenings. But we soon, I think, overcame our disappointment when we realized how much he had set his heart on moving the library from where it was earlier, as part of the building here, and recognizing how small and was incapable of housing the wealth of material, library material, archival material that was serving both the theological community and the research community at large. And so he had this plan, and with the help of donors, with the help of the goodwill of all of you, it was, I think, created. And when it was done, we acknowledged, I think, we overcame that older disappointment and recognized its place here. And I'm only grateful to the council and to everyone who now constitutes the UTC community that you have seen fit to acknowledge the role he played by naming it after him. Thank you very much.
Now we are going to announce United Theological College, E.C. John Library and Archives. For the glory of God, I declare this, the name of the triune God. Amen.
May I please request the library subcommittee who have worked on this to please come inside the library.